Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here, and welcome to another episode of Poor vs. Rich. This is the series where we try a boss with two different levels of gear setups, one being poor or a budget setup, and another being rich or a high level setup. Now today's video is going to be about Zuck normal mode, since that is the most likely mode you're going to be trying if you're on a budget. Now I see a ton of people questioning if it's possible on a budget to kill Zuck, and this video is going to look into that, the kill times, the profit estimates, and much more. So without further ado, make sure to leave a like if you enjoy this type of content and subscribe for more, and let's get into the gear setups for this episode. Alright, so first we have my high level setup that I'll be using, and I'll be using the range style. Now everything on screen is labeled in case you want to pause to see exactly what I'm using to help with your setups, but in short we have full Serenic armor, Essence of Finality, Ascension crossbows which are all fully perked with best in slot perks. We've got Cinderbane gloves. I've got a pretty normal inventory setup with the Reaver's Ring, super prayer potions, Vuln bombs, all the good stuff. I'm using the Scripture of When since it's really good here, and also we're using the Greater Ricochet ability, the Limitless Sigil ability, the Tier 99 range prayer, and like I mentioned before, best in slot perks, which all add into the value of this setup, making the setup around 5 bill and maybe a bit more if you add in the perks. So a really solid setup, especially for getting fast kill times on normal mode, and I can do it with a Ripper Demon pretty efficiently. So now we're going to move on to the budget setup. Now this has a total cost of around 210 mil, but can be done for much cheaper by omitting maybe one or two items. So for this I used full Ganodermic, which is very cheap, with the Animate Dead spell for the huge damage reduction, and then I have Celestial Hand Wraps as, cheap gloves, Blast Diffusion boots with a rune pouch, then I have the Amulet of Souls, which is probably the biggest item we have in terms of expense, which really helps a lot for these caves for the prayer reduction and soul splitting. I have the new Igneous Calmedge, which is gotten from the normal mode, Zuck, which is what you'll probably be doing, but you can always swap it for a normal Kiln Cape, and our weapon of choice is an Obliteration Staff with Precise 6, Equilibrium 2, and Equilibrium 4, and I did this all with unperked armor. As for my inventory, it's mostly all the same, with overloads, weapon poison, adrenaline pots, bruise restores, ring of vigor, planted feet switch for sunshine, which is very important, a shield, enhanced Excalibur, vulnerability bombs, water and earth runes for spells, and that's about it. I also did bring a yak filled with more super restores, more Ceridome and brews, and the rest sailfish. So that is our two setups for this episode. Now I'm going to get into the kills and show exactly how we did. So for the high level setup, the kill went pretty smooth. I'm at about 35 KC now, so I have a decent amount of experience with ranged. Basically, I usually camp Hydrix bolts and then swap to Onyx bolts when I need to heal. SGB is extremely powerful here, along with an EOF with a Debo. Those are both extremely powerful things everywhere, but I usually am able to do all the challenges with real ease, and I also don't run out of food even with a Ripper because of my Onyx Criminal bolts, which I will switch to whenever I need health. I'm also able to one cycle the Hurricane, which means I kill it before it goes to swim under, which saves about a minute or two on your runs and will save you a lot of food as well. And then Zuck takes me 2 cycles pretty consistently, and all around I'm very used to this setup, so it's no surprise we can get around 16.5 minute kill times for around 3.5 or maybe a bit more kills per hour. If I was able to shave off a minute or two, I could get 4 runs per hour with this setup. Now moving on to the budget setup kill. Now I have only done budget Zuck once and I ended up dying a lot. That was basically on release, but finally I ended up getting the kill. So now I'll be starting again with more budget gear, but this time I've got Animate Dead, which should help so much, and then the Amulet of Souls is great for soul splitting health. So for the normal waves, they were pretty easy. I think I actually might have taken less damage than I was using range during the normal waves. The hardest part parts came from the DPS areas. So when I had to kill the 6 minions during that challenge, it came very, very, very close, but I was able to do it successfully. And I was also able to do both of the other challenges without messing up, so all 3 challenges. The hardest part other than that was when you had to deal 50k damage to Zuck. I would have to sunshine before the phase started and build up a bit and then unleash my damage when I press the action button. Normally with ranged, I'd just SGB into a threshold and I'd deal the damage no problem, but I actually had to use sunshine here, which made it a bit more sketchy to do because then I was going into the challenges with low adrenaline. I actually break down how to do all these challenges and give tips on doing budget Zuck or surviving at Zuck easier in my Zuck tips and tricks video, which I will leave at the end of the video and in the description in case you need more help with normal mode Zuck. So then I had to do the Hurricane and I had to 2-cycle it because there was no way I was going to be able to pump up enough damage with this gear to 1 cycle, but after that we were on to Zuck. Now Zuck wasn't particularly much harder, but my damage was much slower, so I had to 3-cycle him instead of 2-cycling. Now I believe it did get a little shady on the minions when I tried to do them because my DPS was just kind of lacking, so it was kind of scary not knowing if I was going to get the minions dead before the insta-kill, but we did end up getting the kill on Zuck and we got a flawless and deathless run, taking around 26 minutes to complete. So now that we're done with the runs, we're going to look at some statistics and some loot. So first we're going to look at the death cost. Now I usually go over these real quick in these videos just to show a comparison, and we have a 505k death cost for the budget setup and then a 2.7 mil death cost for the high level setup, so a significant jump in death costs from the budget to high level setup, as you can imagine. So now it's time for the loot calculation. Now please keep in mind at the bottom here we will have some estimates and some guesses, and those are all estimates and guesses, so do not take those literally as the drop rates aren't confirmed. But what we can confirm is after selling my loot, on average I got around 7 million GP in loot, all sold per normal mode run. Now this does count the anima going for 20k each as of recording this, and I did sell all the loot, so these are accurate prices that you'll get for each run. So for the budget setup, we got 2.2 kills per hour, which if we times that by 7 mil per hour, or 7 mil per run, it's 15.4 mil GP per hour in normal mode loot. As for the high level setup, I got 3.7 kills per hour, which is 25.9 mil GP per hour for just the normal loot. Now we're going to go into what we don't know, which is the drop rate of the rare items. Now just looking at the big drop for normal mode, which is the Magma Tempest ability codex, if we estimate, now this is just an estimate, a 1 in 100 drop rate, it could be 1 in 50, it could be 1 in 256, we do not know for normal mode, but if it is 1 in 100, which seems pretty likely, or somewhere around 1 in 200, that would be my best guess, but we really don't know how much it is, so I'm going to estimate the unique profit per kill based on a 1 in 100 drop rate. So if we assume that drop rate, you'll get an extra 20 mil per kill since the Magma Tempest Codex is going for 2 billion GP right now, which is an extra 44 million GP per hour for the budget setup and an extra 74 mil per hour for the high level setup. So really interesting and surprising to say the least. I think right now if Magma Tempest is anywhere between a 1 in 100 or 1 in 300 drop rate, then you're looking at least like 50 to 100 mil per hour for the high level setup, or like 30 to 50 mil for the budget setup. So extremely good money just based on the Magma Tempest drop alone, not even including the Scripture of Full. However, if these drops are like 1 in 1k, which I can't really imagine with how long the kiln takes, then that number drops way lower. Of course, remember this is just me theory crafting for the unique drop rates, but the normal loot of 15.4 mil per hour and 25.9 1.9 mil per hour is 100% accurate based on all the data that I collected. So what do I think? What is my conclusion? Is Zuck viable on a budget? And I think it really is, and is very profitable, but make sure you use the Animate Dead spell with Tank Mage armor. That is the key, and it helps preserve food, and Obsidian armor is also a great option too for damage reduction with the other styles. And the loot per hour at around 15 mil in normal drops is not bad. I was able to get a flawless and deathless kill without any big expensive abilities or weapons or any, like 4-ticking or any, high level strategies like that. I wasn't doing any of that. I was actually just staff camping the entire time. So I encourage all of you to try out Zuck on normal mode, even with budget gear, because it's really, really fun. I would say Amulet of Souls is a pretty big requirement. Not a requirement, but it really, really helps. And if I could recommend one item, it would be that. And I have a guide actually for 10 tips and tricks that helped me get my first normal mode deathless run for Zuck, and I'll link that at the end of this video and in the description as well if you want to check that out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I thought it was pretty fun. I always love making these when a new boss comes out, just to look at some statistics, look at if it's viable on a budget, and if I can help you guys out at all trying to get your, first kills for people that don't have super expensive setups, then that's awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video.